Let's start with the webinar. Welcome to today's webinar on the role of people in regenerative organic agriculture. My name is Alexandra Martinez, Senior Digital Marketing Associate with Equitable Food Initiative, or EFI. I'm usually your tech person during the webinars, but today I'm going to be your host. This webinar is part of our EFI's mini-series of webinar focused on sustainability and the role of people in it. A couple of housekeeping items before we begin. Please submit your questions using the chat or the Q&A feature if you are on Zoom, or comment feature if you are on LinkedIn. We will save time at the end to address them. I also wanted to introduce our tech person for today, Madeline Edlin. So if you see her name on the chat or on the screen, make sure to say hi. Finally, we are recording this webinar, and we will send the recording of this webinar in the next 2 or 1 day. Finally, let's start with the webinar officially. I would like to introduce you to our special guest, Paul Alvarez, Program Director at Regenerative Organic Alliance, also known as ROA. Paul, I'm going to give you the floor to introduce yourself before we jump into the topics we have prepared for today. Okay, let's give a second to Paul while he's joining into the stage. There he is.
There you go.
There you go. We can hear you. We cannot see you.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to figure out now what you did that's fantastic. I can hear you loud and clear.
That's awesome. I can hear you. I still cannot see you. There you are. Welcome, Paul.
Hey, Alexandra, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you too. So do you want to give us a little introduction about your role at ROA?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for the invitation and the opportunity to connect with you and with this wonderful group to be able to talk about the EFI, Regenerative Organic Alliance, and ERGO. I am Paul Alvarez. I'm thrilled to be here today. As I mentioned, Alexandra, I'm the program director at the Regenerative Organic Alliance. In my role, I oversee the development of the program, making sure that we are able to scale with integrity. I had the opportunity to work very close with our certification bodies, with our farmers and ranchers partners, many other stakeholders, key for the program, for brands, all of them with the same mission, with the same desire and the same alliance to promote regenerative organic practices that are good for the environment, for the farmers, for the farm workers, for the communities. And I've been with the organization 3 years and a half, and I'm excited to dive into today's discussion, you know?
Of course. Thank you so much for that introduction. So let's start with a little context about regenerative organic agriculture. What is it and why is it important for the ecosystem, business, and for people?
Good question. It's really fascinating to think that perspective, and I'm going to try to provide a holistic, very general conversation because to respect to the audience, because it might be different when we're talking to brands versus consumers, maybe to farmers and ranchers. They all have different ways to absorb the information. So the most clear way to explain this is that regenerative organic agriculture is holistic. And that's a key word that I want to make sure that keeps during this process. It's a holistic farming and ranching system, which is the second word that is important to keep in mind as we talk about regenerative organic. And making sure it's holistic and it's a system. And goes, beyond aspects around sustainability. It has the foundation in terms about organic. So as an example, while sustainability focuses on maintaining the status quo, regenerative organic agriculture aims to heal and regenerate ecosystems. We're looking into improving the soil. We're looking into restoring biodiversity. We're looking into taking care of the health of the communities, healthy food, healthy people, healthy soil, healthy food, healthy people. It's kind of like the message that we're trying to send to everybody here. We take into account also animal welfare and human fairness. And what does it mean that? That actually we are taking care of to support fair wages. We're talking about safe working conditions for farmers, for farm workers, and for businesses. What does it mean at adopting regenerative practices? It really helps to important aspects that are so important for many of them, depending where you are in the age of your business. It can help you to bring brand loyalty. It can help you to improve your market opportunities. It can help you to create a more resilient supply chain, such an important aspect in these times. And for people, it's about creating food systems that supports not just the health, our health in general, but the health of the entire planet. And most importantly, to discuss when we talk about the social aspect is the prosperity of the communities that are growing our food. For those, that might keep in mind is we are depending from small farmers, we're depending from farm workers to feed this work. And to give you some numbers, 75% of the food that we consume around the world is coming from farm operations that are taking care of the beautiful land, but also taking care of the workers that are working in this land.
Well, that's a great explanation. And I love that you mentioned that regenerative organic agriculture isn't just about sustaining what we have, it's about actively improving it. There is a lot of points that you mentioned there that I'm planning to go back so we can go a little deeper into it. But yeah, thank you for that first introduction. And speaking about things that I love, one of the things you already mentioned and that I wanted to highlight is that regenerative organic agriculture focus on three main pillars. We have, as you mentioned, rehabilitating soil, respecting animal welfare, and improving the lives of farm workers. You already gave us a quick introduction, but could you give us a deeper look into Regenerative Organic Certified and the standards that you use for the certification?
Absolutely. I love the question, and also giving the opportunity to talk a little bit more about the ROA, the Regenerative Organic Alliance. To flag a little bit about the Regenerative Organic Alliance is a non-profit organization founded for incredible brands, for incredible farmers, for a little people, like the name says, Alliance, that created the Regenerative Organic Certified framework. This framework has been created in collaboration with different industry, brands, farmers, researchers, in terms about setting rigorous holistic standards for regenerative practices. And as you mentioned, exactly what makes this program very unique is, again, the holistic and systematic approach. And as you mentioned, we have three pillars. We have three pillars that are actually protecting and covering important aspects that are related to everything related about the planet. So the first pillar is about the soil health. So we have the soil health and land management, to be more precise. And in this aspect, we focus on soil regeneration by promoting practices. We call it a framework. That is important to flag from the beginning. We call it a framework because it's not an intent to just tell the farmers what to do. It's an intent to show in the multiple practices that they can use, and they can work around those practices based on their local realities, which is an important aspect for us always to understand that it's not the same to work with produce in the United States versus in Mexico versus from Peru versus from other regions. It is, and even in the United States, we can always not consider the needs or what aspects between even farms that are next to each other. The realities are different. So our framework provides those practices, and we are promoting those practices, and the farmers follow them, and they use them as they see better fit for their realities. So examples of that for the soil health and land management, we are talking about key aspects around cropping. We're talking about crop rotation. We're talking about minimizing tillage. We're not talking about no tillage. We're talking about minimal disturbance. And the whole idea is to rebuild soil organic matter. And we have other practices that people can use. And we have not just that aspects in terms about soil generic, but also have other guidances for specific categories like in paddy rice, aspects in dairy, and poultry. The second pillar is the aspect about that animal welfare. The Regenerative Organic Alliance believes in the importance about ensuring animal husbandry practices and making sure that they are humane. So our Regenerative Organic Certified framework addresses those aspects with a strong focus on pasture-based raised systems, and other ethical treatment of livestock. To flag very clear here is in terms of when we talk about aspects of products, for example, I want to flag very clearly that there is an aspect that these criteria and that we have here, those requirements that we have here, are applicable for people in the animal production, where people like ranchers, people in poultry, people are actually talking about selling those meat production, talking about selling pigs, animals, and all of that aspects that we have right now in the program, but no pushing, trying to say it in aspects of products to introduce animals into the production, because we are talking then about all these aspects related to food safety. So that's the second pillar, making sure that animal husbandry practices are humane. And the third pillar that has been always also very close to my heart is the aspect about farmer and farm worker fairness. This pillar emphasizes aspects that everybody knows that are important, not just as a aspects that we need to see that are happening across the world and across the farmers and across other industries, but it also is important for ourselves as humans, right? So we're talking about aspects that are critical, that we emphasize about fair wages. We all want fair wages. We all want safe working conditions, and we all want to have a community, ensuring that community, we want to ensure the well-being of the community. So from that perspective, those are the three aspects that we're trying to cover, that we cover completely in the worker fairness, and with the ultimate goal to be able to create a fair, equitable food system that is a benefit for all the stakeholders. But here's the part that's making interesting these three pillars. They all work together. They all work together in different aspects at the farm level. Together, these pillars are really helping us to promote not just an environmental health, but also aspects that around the social aspects of agriculture, which is such an important, vital aspect for the long-term success of any operation, any farm, and any true successful regenerative system. So from that in mind, I just want to say to keep in mind that it is completely important to think that regenerative organic cannot fly, and is not going to fly without putting aside aspects about social fairness that are an important aspect in this program.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate how at the end you highlight that, everything at the end is interconnected and we need to recognize that interconnection. And I really appreciate the fact that, you should clarify some of the general misconceptions that can happen in the regenerative organic agriculture. So continuing with the ROC certification, it is important to highlight that this certification is also designed to avoid duplicative criteria and burdensome paperwork. So for those organizations that already hold an EFI certification and are interested in obtaining the ROC certification, what are the benefits and the next steps for them?
I love the aspect, and I wanted to flag why it's such an important thing that this question that you are saying here is that it is an important aspect to understand, and not only the local realities, the local agricultural realities, but also to understand that farmers and operations are busy. Is the last thing that they want to worry about is aspects about another audit, another certification. Here's come the audit. We know that. And this is something I'd like to call the aspect about duplication, as you mentioned, and the audit fatigue, the audit costs, etc. So all of that knowledge to understanding how, and listening to the farmers and listening to the operation, to the leadership and the management of these operations, help us to identify that for organizations, for example, like already A5 certified, these are good news. These are good news, something that the ROA has already, the Regenerative Organic Alliance has already taken consideration. So the good news is that many of the practices and the processes that have been already implemented at this time, when we talk about E5, as an example, align very, very well with the Regenerative Organic Certified framework. And this is especially particularly around aspects to when we come to labor management. We talk about freedom association, about collaboration, which is really key in both certification, in key programs, on EF5 and the ROA. Saying that, this is one of the key programs for the ROA, but there are other ones also that you can see on the website for those interested that also are in alignment and we approve in terms of about moving, in terms of about the social piece. But it's also that we connected to animal welfare, and the other one's also connected to the soil health as well. So what is the benefit here? I think we can know, you guys can know where we're going with this. Is the benefit is that you, as an operation, as a farmer, don't need to start from scratch. Instead, our program has created a turnkey to recognize this program. So we have a process that we prepare, we customize for each operation. So we are building on existing practices that you already, as a farmer, implement. In this case, you are doing great if you're already working with ERGO certified. So these existing practices are promoting fairness and are promoting sustainability. So what is next? So you're an operation, you have EFI. So what is next after that? So the next step is, is to undergo for the ROC certification process, which is going to include aspects that we mentioned before from the same pillars: soil health practices, animal welfare, and worker fairness. And if you're already on the path with EFI, you're already EFI, the transition to the Regenerative Organic Certified framework is going to be much smoother. Our certification bodies, we work globally with 15 certification bodies at the moment. In the United States, about 5 to 6 can provide those services in the United States. So they are educated, they are trained in terms about how to work, in terms about what exactly, and we prepare that information, we send the audit order, the terms of reference, and they just dedicate their efforts in verifying what is additionally and connected to the Regenerative Organic Certified program. So there is no duplication of work, no duplication of efforts. And of course, what happened with that is at the end, the length of the audit is shorter. The cost of the audit is much less. And what is make it even more attractive is that in the way that we're working with our certification bodies, and has been an incredible benefit for many operations, is when we send an auditor, a certification body, sends an auditor that to perform the ROC audit. In most of the cases, they can do a bundle audit as well. They can do the organic and the social, they can do the organic and the ROC, or they can do all of them together. So there's a lot of benefits about that we have created here for the benefit of the operations. So on other words, plus, by becoming Regenerative Organic Certified, brands, from the perspective, your buyers can get access. If you're a brand, you can get access to a growing market of consumers. You can get access to some retailers. It's good to mention here in this aspect that all the work that we have doing is also verified and evaluated by other companies. By the other companies, I talk about brands, by other institutions and retailers. So if you want to look and get a little bit more about it, talking just about the United States, please take a look about the website, for example, about Whole Foods Market. At this time, the Regenerative Organic Certified framework by the Regenerative Organic Alliance at this time is a program that is approved by the 3 pillars of Whole Foods Market. We are approved already for the social, for animal welfare, and also for the soil health, the large regenerative that they have in the website. So we are in all of those aspects. We have worked with them. So keep us in mind in terms of what we're thinking about how to create a benefit for the retail side, but also benefit for the farmers in making sure that there are no duplication of efforts.
Thank you, Paul, for all the explanation and the next steps. I have shared on the chat ROA website, so you can take a look of that and choose explore around all the things that they offer.
Good.
You're going to see me looking on the site, and the reason for that is that my LinkedIn live page is on another screen. So if you see me doing this, it's because I'm seeing my LinkedIn people commenting a lot into this LinkedIn live.
Wow.
I know. we are pretty popular today here. So continuing with the conversation, I wanted to mention that Regenerative Organic Certified has 3 levels. We have bronze, silver, and gold. Each requires different numbers and a scope of regenerative organic practices. But today, I want to focus on the gold level certification. What are some big differentiators when someone wants to aim high and get gold level, and why is this valuable?
Thank you for that question. The gold level by the Regenerative Organic Certified framework, it is the highest tier within the framework. It is applicable for operations that not only meet the ROC criteria, but they've been demonstrated excellence in all the regenerative practices and adding more, because our requirements keep focus on aspects that is important also for the ROI program, continuous improvement. And this kind of brings us back to the aspect about it is important to meet where the farmers are, and it's important to meet where they are in their journey, and it's important to understand their local agricultural realities. So continuous improvement is probably the third word I want you to remember from our program as well. It's all about making sure that we get better through the time. So some key differentiators for the gold level certification are, I'm going to mention a 4 here, is that it's definitely a more advanced commitment to soil health. One quick example, for bronze, we require annual cover crops for of your entire land by 25%. When you get to gold, we require 100%. So you're going from that transition. So in addition to that, with extensive, again, this is about commitment to soil health. So with extensive requirements that we have in terms of soil testing and regenerative practices, as an example, again, the cover crop, regenerative practices, we are looking for integrated throughout evaluating what's happening at the farm system. We're going to be looking into aspects about the improvement of the soil, the microbiology life that is increasing, the organic matter if it's improving. So there's going to be a lot of aspects that we check that we expect to see as a result of implementation of these practices. That's, for example, in regard to soil health, more advanced practices and commitment to the soil health. More robust, if you are rancher, as an example, more robust animal welfare standards. This includes, for example, providing access to pasture and ensuring the animals are treated with the highest standards of care. In these aspects, we talk about in dairy industry, when we talk about the details titles, when we talk about in certain categories, in aspects about the product industry, again, to refresh, we do not require the inclusion of grazing animals for the products, to clarify, again. But they could be, and there are aspects also in other industries, they still use the animals for certain aspects to management, to operate in the farm, to transport the crops, to help with the harvest, to move aspects between locations. We ensure and we have criteria, and those operations need to meet what is called our 5 freedoms. So it's just 5 rules that they need to follow in terms of making sure that those animals are well treated during the time that they're working at the farm. That are operating the farm. And the aspect, and the third one is a much stronger worker fairness practices. We include here aspects that are deeper in terms about engagement with the farm workers, in terms about further education, further communication, further understanding their needs. This includes also understanding how the benefits that we're working here are related to the farm working communities. And this is just with the number one role here, is that we want to ensure that the workers are involved in the decision-making process. We want to make sure that the workers are part of the process. So you need to start with establishments in terms about understanding the needs assessments. You need to talk about then organizing on information and sharing with them. You need to talk about education and socialization of the information with them. And again, during that transition, as you're coming from bronze to gold, you need to make and be part of this. And so the requirements start growing. And as an example, is aspects about fair wages, and then living wage, making sure that you follow the rules that we have around the living wage. And the gold level certification is really, and this is the aspect that is aspect that sometimes is not easy for everybody to see it, but the gold certification level is highly valued, because it signals an incredible commitment to the highest regenerative organic practices. There is a lot of information that is collected during that process. There are a lot of things that I have seen farmers coming to us. Oh, wow, I'm learning here, I'm improving here, I'm getting better. Now I understand why this information is important. I'm using it to communicate to my market. So they're getting with those practices more attached and understanding, because we are educating the retailers while at the same time letting know the farmers what's happening. So our investment on social education and marketing is totally free, and we work with the retailers to continue promoting and educating them, so that then the farmers, by all this work, they see, oh, I see what I'm doing, this kind of work. So they see as a powerful tool for not just for the retailers, but for the consumers who are asking all the time, who are looking all the time for a more ethical source and more environmental conscious products.
Thank you, Paul. That's great. And I think coming back to what you mentioned at the beginning is not only about sustaining the status quo, is around just keep working in it to make everything better day by day. And at the end, when you mentioned all the social fairness area, I just wanted to highlight that EFI's, especially EFI certification, is all about ensuring that workers are involved in decision-making processes and expanding the voice of workers. So actually, for organizations located in the Americas, EFI created the ERGO program to fulfill the ROC social fairness requirement for gold-level certification. To complete this program, operations require the formation, training, and ongoing functioning of a labor management collaborative team, or also known as an LMC. And I'm actually going to add to the chat ERGO's program website for anyone interested in it. And if you have any questions related to it, I'm also going to add EFI's direct contact or my contact, so you can just send me an email. And also, just a quick reminder, if you already hold an EFI certification, you don't need to pursue the ERGO program because your EFI certification will satisfy most of the social fairness components for ROC gold level. If you want to pursue the gold level of ROC certification and you have the EFI certification, the best and easiest path for you is to contact Paul directly to start this process. So let me just add all those links into the chat so you can have them available for you. And I'm sending the link for a Regenerative Organic Alliance website. This is the webpage for ERGO within Equitable Food Initiative. And finally, I'm sending a PDF with a little more description of how the program works. And I'm going to add that to our LinkedIn Live too, so people can have it available in there. So this is our last question, and we're running a little out of time, but let's finish this because I feel it's important to hear from your perspective, Bob. How do you see labor management collaboration playing a role in improving farmer and worker fairness?
Absolutely. It's critical. Labor management collaboration is an incredible aspect in terms about improving fairness on the farms. We must ensure, that workers and management are working together. We must ensure that there is communication, and we have seen those kind of natural practices already happening in many operations. In terms, I have seen also people that in operations that maybe have not had that kind of level of communication, really showing a tremendous appreciation with this guidance and these trainings and other aspects that not just already that, but EFI and ERGO, you guys do an amazing job on those aspects, is to build that connection, to build that, that togetherness in terms about being able to work as a team in different aspects. It's such an important aspect, especially when we talk about the products category, because sometimes you have permanent workers, sometimes you have temporary, you have seasonal workers, and sometimes you work with labor contractors. So you have to kind of see that, how does it work, how does it play around? And it's good to have a system and practices so you can implement it with this team, with these workers that come to your farm, sometimes just for only a few days. So, and we gotta see it as a great opportunity that we gotta ensure that the workers and management, again, are working together to address different important aspects. And there is no one better from my perspective than the people, the farm worker, work in the field every day. There's no one better to be able to tell you what the needs are. Not just in terms of talking about the farm team, the workers, but it's also about your own field. They are the only ones that are actually working, so much, and they can give you so much information in different aspects that can help you as an operation be better every day. So this collaboration, helps the farm workers. They're having a voice, they're having aspects in decisions. It really helped them, having the opportunity. It's just to send a tremendous message to them that I'm not just helping them to be better and get better in the operation, but they also send a positive answer in terms in their lives. I have seen these farm workers bringing that kind of education, knowledge, that opportunity to communicate, bringing it to their families, bringing it to their kids, and using it on a day by day, and hearing from them directly that can impact is always fill my heart with really positive things. And it's, the same aspect in terms of your operation is promoting a more transparent, equitable work environment. With EFI, with ERGO, with ROC, we are really providing a structure, a really good structure to have how to help the farmers to implement these collaborations, which not only help farms to meet the ROC goal level, which is we're talking today, is for you guys just to look at this, but it's helping you to improve farm worker satisfaction, farm working retention, such an important aspect in these days, and overall productivity. So it is a win-win. It is a win-win situation that contributes to a more just and sustainable food system.
It definitely is a win-win situation. Thank you, Paul, for answering the last question and for all the insights, information, explanation. We are running a little late. I just want to give a space for maybe 2 questions so we can extend this webinar maybe 5 minutes max, just because I want to hear, questions from the public, the attendees. If we don't have time to answer all your questions, you have our emails on the screen, info@equitablefood.org. Is going to be the perfect way to contact Equitable Food Initiative, and Paul at regenorganic.org is going to be the perfect way to connect with Paul and all the regenerative organic team. So let me see. I know we have a question here. Paul, what do you see as the future of regenerative organic agriculture in the next 5 to 10 years, and how can farmers prepare for upcoming trends?
Beautiful question. In terms about the trends, I invite you, let's start with something very quick. I invite you to look into a company called SPINS, SPINS. SPINS data provides a lot of information that is provided by multiple programs, including the Regenerative Organic Certified, that is providing a lot of data in terms about the trends, not only indicating the growth that Regenerative Organic Certified is having in the movement, but also indicating data in terms about the prices and the cost and how much people are brands or brands are receiving for the cost. So it's giving you that kind of access. So take a look at it. Some of the information is accessible. Some information you gotta pay for it, but it's very accurate. We've been following, and it has shown a trend for the last 2 years. The regenerative organic, in particular, has been growing over 15%, 20% per year. And it's also showing an incremental in terms of volume sales. So that's, I recommend you to take a look at it. In terms of other trends, this is what I like to dig and to communicate to others. 7 years ago, the word regenerative, it was called the buzzword. Now it's called the buzz movement. It's really happening. It's incredible. So just to give you a reference for the program and the way that we work, we right now have almost 350 operations certified globally. We have and those operations represent over 63,000 farmers, and also represents a presence of the program in 45 countries, with a total of almost 19 million acres certified at this time. So it's showing you the trend where we are in terms of process. It's not just only the trend, and that is important to consider where the retailers are, that we've been approved with Whole Foods as an example across other pillars as well. But it's also showing the trend about how certification buyers are seeing, like they are the ones working globally with different farmers as well and noticing. And we have grown in different aspects, and from working 3.5 years ago from 4 certification bodies to now 15 certification bodies. They're all coming to us saying, hey, we want to work this. This is happening. How we can be part of this movement. So that's the perspective. And consumers' awareness is also increasing. There's also increasing in terms of other knowledge, but there's not enough information. It's a big word, and we just need to help to simplify the message for that. So in 5 years, I expect for us to be able to reach with working in the trends that we went. I'm looking forward to have near to 1,000 and 1,000 operations in certified with this. I'm hoping to move from not only at this time from 500 crops and maybe 500 crops that we're working globally, but add a little bit more, maybe another 100 in the way that we're working right now. And I think the last part I want to see in terms of about 5 years, I see a more united movement, because there's a lot of aspects that people use the region here, the region over here, not really in alignment in aspects. So I'm hoping, as I see, a more united movement across different other frameworks and standards that can provide, a much better service in alignment with the only one objective is to serve farmers and farm workers.
Thank you, Paul. And there is one question that I want to quickly answer. Is the ERGO program only available for fruit and vegetable growers? That's a great question. Something that I think is important to highlight is that in the past, we actually have also certified vineyards. So what I recommend is that you contact us directly to the email you have on the screen and just let us know more about your operation or the products you produce or you manage, so we can discuss better how we can organize a possible training of an LMC within your organization. So with this, I just want to close up this amazing conversation. Thank you so much, Paul, for joining us today, for being our special guest. We're really excited to see the reach of regenerative organic agriculture and, experience all the positive things this practice and this movement brings to soil, animals, and people.
Thank you, Alexandra. A pleasure to be here. Looking forward to continue working with you guys, working with farmers and farm workers in regenerative organic agriculture, and ensuring a very positive impact for the years to come.
Love that. And of course, thank you everyone for joining us today. Have a great day, and we'll see you in our next webinar. Thank you so much.